We're not getting a new mainline Fallout game in 2025 or really anytime soon. Instead, we're getting another season of the TV show, and while that's cool, the vast majority of gamers would much rather prefer a new game. According to leaks and rumors, though, the next thing that we're going to see in gaming from Fallout is most likely going to be some sort of up-res version of Fallout 3, if the leaked ZeniMax documents from a few years ago are to be believed. But when it comes to a new mainline game in the series, we are a long way out. From the FTC hearings when Microsoft was in the process of buying Activision, Phil Spencer had stated that The Elder Scrolls VI, which is Bethesda Game Studios' next big title, was at least 5 years away at the time. So that means we wouldn't see ES6 until at least 2028, if not later. Todd Howard also went on record in an interview with Ryan McCaffrey of IGN saying that BGS would be developing Fallout 5 after The Elder Scrolls VI, and if we account for the typical development cycle of these games, that means that Fallout 5 would likely not arrive until maybe like 2032 or 2033 at the earliest. With that said, Fallout 3 Remastered sounds great in the short term, but even that is not going to hold us over for another decade. I mean, Fallout is literally the biggest IP that Microsoft owns right now in my opinion, and that property shouldn't just go to waste. Gamers want a new Fallout game, and we shouldn't have to wait a decade for Fallout 5. Spin-off game in 2027 or 2028 like a Fallout New Vegas 2 would obviously be ideal, and honestly, I think a lot of Fallout fans would be hyped to return to the Mojave Wasteland and see an updated version of the strip for modern consoles. But the community also wants something new, like give us Fallout in a really interesting setting. Since we already got Fallout London, and I believe the Fallout Miami mod is still in development, the settings that I think would be perfect for a spin-off game would be like a Fallout Los Angeles, Fallout San Francisco, or a Fallout New Orleans. It's clear from previous leaks that Bethesda Game Studios may want to do a Fallout in New York City for Fallout 5, but I could see the nice sense of variety that we got from Fallout New Vegas in a Fallout LA, where there could be traces of old school Hollywood embedded in the game, or I could see a dilapidated Golden Gate Bridge in Fallout San Francisco. Literally though, all that gamers really want is an interesting new post-apocalyptic playground where we can explore in the same way that we did in Fallout 3, New Vegas, and 4. One aspect of Fallout that I think we also need to return to in a spin-off is the gritty atmosphere. The atmosphere of 76 just wasn't there for me. New Vegas did this just fine though, even with the colorful palette that they used in that game. But Fallout is a world that is meant to feel drab, dire, and downright miserable at times for its inhabitants. The VAT system also helps to show that chaos of a post-apocalypse with the bloody mess perk as limbs literally fly off of raiders and super mutants, and the almost horror-esque feeling of walking through a dark and destroyed subway tunnel with ghouls lingering in the shadows that always felt just so on point in Fallout 3. But the atmosphere really is such a huge part of the Fallout franchise, and I think that's why the West Virginia setting of Fallout 76 kind of fell flat, with a downgraded version of VATS that was meant to integrate well with the online multiplayer space, and a map that was interesting but just not as Fallout feeling as other entries. Fallout seems best when it's based in a city. DC from Fallout 3, for example, really encapsulated the feeling of a world years after an apocalypse, with derelict buildings everywhere and raiders looming around every corner, with remnants of the United States government and the Enclave reportedly still governing from the shadows. The atmosphere there was just unmatched, and I think a lot of people would love to see a return to that kind of feeling in future iterations of the Fallout series. It is true that Bethesda Game Studios themselves have changed quite a bit over the last 2 decades, and they've even changed to the point of implementing building simulation mechanics into many other recent games, starting with Fallout 4, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I also think that maybe future entries of Fallout need to redefine the focus a bit and go back to what made 3 and New Vegas so special. Those games didn't have or need building mechanics to make them so interesting, and although Bethesda seems to think that we want the forever game nowadays with Radiant quests and building mechanics, that is, a game similar to Skyrim or Fallout 4 that we just go back to and play for hundreds if not thousands of hours, games like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas were still really lengthy with tons of unique locations to explore, and those games also didn't outstay their welcome. It's kind of ironic in a sense because when we look back at Fallout 3, I just wonder why they didn't approach future entries in the series with the "if it's not broke, then don't fix it" mentality, but instead, we got a lot of experimentation out of both Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. Fallout 4 saw the unfortunate streamlining and borderline reversal of certain RPG elements while concentrating on the action combat more than anything else, and Fallout 76 took it a step further by downgrading the VAT system, essentially eliminating even more RPG systems until Wastelanders, that is, and deciding to double down on the controversial building modes that were optional in Fallout 4 but ended up being basically a necessity in Fallout 76. As a result, when the wider community viewed Fallout 76, they saw a game that had strayed way too far from Bethesda's original vision of Fallout that we saw back in 2008 with Fallout 3. And one almost has to wonder why Bethesda just didn't go with another spin-off game if they really wanted to create more Fallout, instead of a multiplayer project that didn't fit with their engine, their skill set, or even the atmosphere of the traditional Fallout games. In 2025, Bethesda Game Studios feels like they are becoming more and more like a BioWare, chasing the ghosts of their previous successes, and unable to reach those same heights no matter what they do. That doesn't mean that I don't think Fallout 5 will be good, but at this point in time, I do think that a lot of people have lost some of their excitement for future BGS games. With that said, Xbox has a huge number of game developers now that could create a Fallout spin-off in the vein of New Vegas, and with the lack of availability from Bethesda Game Studios, and with the deteriorating confidence as well, maybe it's time to ask Obsidian to return to Fallout following their release of The Outer Worlds 2 this fall. It just makes way too much sense for Microsoft and Xbox to give this franchise some new life, and to return to the style from 3 and New Vegas that made the series so beloved in modern times. Is it too much to ask for the atmosphere of Fallout 3, the writing of New Vegas, and the gunplay of Fallout 4 all in one package? With a new location somewhere, maybe on America's West Coast, since we've seen quite a few entries on the East Coast now, with DC, Boston, and West Virginia. I know that's a lot, but at least give us something new before Fallout 5. Some sort of new Fallout single-player experience so that the series gets the shot in the arm that it deserves. I know game development takes a long time nowadays, but it would be absolutely ridiculous for Microsoft to wait a decade for us to see this series again. Gamers want a new Fallout in the vein of Fallout 3, and I don't think it's unreasonable to expect some sort of spin-off within the next 3 to 4 years. I just hope that Microsoft and Xbox are aware of this and are currently taking some sort of action behind the scenes. But anyhow, what are your thoughts on a potential Fallout spin-off game, and what would you really want from a new Fallout game at this point? Would you like a New Vegas 2, or do you think a new setting would be better? Shout out down in the comments below and let me know what you're thinking. And if you enjoyed the video today, consider subscribing. But for now, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next level.